Rads on Patreon, supporting my work, my partner Rosa, and Independent Left News. Definitely check out Independent Left News. So, most of you have probably heard about the absolutely just batshit crazy laws coming out of Texas with regards to women's reproductive rights and health, and just the completely draconian and disgusting anti-abortion laws, just anti-woman laws, frankly, that are being passed in Texas and a lot of other places, across the country by these, right-wing Republican conservative fanatical, Christian, lawmakers. But here we see from the Daily Poster, Dems stalled abortion protections in a committee, so we could have actually had some protections on a federal level through legislation that would have potentially prevented some of these states from being able to do what they've done, as we've seen in Texas, and the Supreme Court ruling, allowing that to happen. But it looks like, the Democrats, again, were kind of, sitting on their hands and not doing what they should have when they should have with regards to this. And then now it's all, feigning, disgust and surprise when it happens, when in fact the Democrats this whole time, could have actually been pushing these measures through committee. So states like Texas and these other, far right fanatical state legislatures wouldn't be able to pass these just completely, disgusting and despicable attempts to, control, women and their bodies. And again, this really, aligns with a lot. The people who would be most affected by these abortion bans would be the people who could afford it the most, particularly communities of color, people who wouldn't have access to healthcare, people who wouldn't be able to travel outside the state to get, abortions, other reproductive health care. And just how disgusting is it that Texas was also making this thing where you could, rat out people for, if you thought they were maybe going to be getting an abortion or something like that. It's like, Jesus Christ, do people really not have better things to do with their lives? I mean, for fuck's sake. Just really, really disgusting, right? Let's see. Yeah, so there's this. I need to go to this. Profilewhistleblower.com. So this is from Cocktails and Capitalism on Instagram. Let's see. Profilewhistleblower.com. Let's see if that's actually a thing. Profile Whistleblower website. Is it even still up? Or Shrekport? Whistleblower. What did I say it was? Whistleblower. Profile whistleblower. What did I say it was? .com? Whistleblower.com. Let's see if it comes up. And then I guess to kind of throw a monkey. Profile whistleblower.com. Let's see if it comes up. There we go. Or is it? Maybe it's. Did it get taken down? TikToker bombarded Texas anti-abortion whistleblower website with Shrek porn false info, which is pretty awesome. Kudos to them. But I also heard, it probably would make more sense to make a realistic report, because then it would take more time to go through it as opposed to just, Shrek porn, right? Yeah, really, really disgusting, for sure. And if that site's still up, definitely go bombard it with, anything that you can. And I think you can even change it so your, your internet browser, whatever, would make it look like you're actually in Texas, which would, make even better. Supreme Court's decision. launch toward the Republic of Gilead. But I also think, no, it's not the Republic of Gilead. This is the, reactionary Christian, fanatics, extremist, however you want to call it, just completely, just authoritarian, really, in the worst sense of the word, frankly. Democrats in Washington control Congress and the White House, two branches of government that have power to preempt not only a Texas law, but also stop any copycat anti-abortion laws that other Republican states now race to pass. This is something Democratic lawmakers can do today, this very minute, to protect women's health. They don't have to wait 18 more days until their summer vacation is over. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi suggested they can do it right now. Of course, Pelosi doesn't want to be bothered with being, brought back from her summer vacation. I mean, everybody else, people in Congress, senators, Congress people, they're guaranteed, all this time off. Nobody else gets that. They have amazing health care. We don't get that, but it's good enough for them, right? That's all that matters. And if they once again opt to cite filibuster rules, they have the power to change, or if they manufacture some other fake reason for inaction, they're willfully choosing to take the side of anti-abortion extremists, which again, in theory, Democrats and in language claim, to support women's reproductive health and, access to abortion services. But why haven't they done this then? I mean, for fuck's sake, Nancy Pelosi seems like she thought they had to wait to do this. This article is saying otherwise. Where's the disconnect, right? Yeah. I suspect we're going to look back at this moment where a Democratic majority won't end the filibuster. Biden doesn't want to do that. And expand the court to protect voting rights and reproductive freedom as the last wonder there was to hold the democracy. Well, again, we don't fucking have a democracy. There never has been a democracy in the United States. What the fuck is wrong with you? The reason the Democrats have the power to invalidate the Texas law goes back to the underpinnings of Roe v. Wade. The case legalizing abortion became the law of the land through the court precedent, an inherently fragile state of affairs that has now allowed 5 unelected extremists in the Supreme Court to wake up one day and decide to ignore it. They can do so because Roe's precedent has never explicitly legislated as a federal statute protection, which is insane because, as this points out, Roe v. Wade was in 1973. So what, 40, almost fucking 50 years ago, right? Democrats in Washington have never bothered to codify the president as a federal law, even when they have held both houses of Congress of the presidency, as they do now, as they did during Obama's first term, right? Some states have passed their own abortion protections. The same story is now unfolded during the first 7 months of the Biden presidency, allowing Texas Republicans and Supreme Court extremists to take advantage of the negligence. Biden campaign had promised to pass such a federal law, and the good news that he and his Democratic colleagues in Congress remain in position to actually make that happen. There's already legislation introduced in Congress to do this. It is called the Women's Health Protection Act. It already has 48 co-sponsors in the Senate, so basically all the Democrats, and its core precepts are wildly popular to survey data. The bill creates federal protections against state restrictions that fail to protect women's health and intrude upon personal decision-making, notes a description from the bill's sponsor, Senator Richard Blumenthal, Connecticut, promotes and protects a woman's individual constitutional right no matter where she lives. That's fucking awesome. Would use federal authority to invalidate anti-abortion state laws. Makes clear that no state government shall enact or enforce any law, rule, or regulation, standard, or other provision having the force and effect of law that conflicts with any provision of this act. Boom. So it would invalidate, in Texas, would invalidate any other state who tries to pass these really just draconian and disgusting, anti-woman laws. Let's see. And yeah, as Republican legislators in states across the country have been passing laws to try to restrict abortion, Democrats didn't even introduce the latest version of this bill until June, even though there had been a version of it going back to at least 2013. And then after Democrats It's finally introduced again. The legislation has been languishing in a committee, all while Democrats have been raising money off their promises to protect a woman's right to choose. That's not Democrats in a nutshell. I don't know what is. Talking the talk, but not walking the walk. And really disgusting, right? Seek help from Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, said they would support. Boom. Biden promised it, 48 co-sponsors. See, I mean, again, what is stopping them from actually doing this? Their own inability to actually fight for really anything meaningful. Hope they do. This would be really, really helpful and super important because, again, it would completely nullify any other state that tries to pass these, just extreme anti-woman, really disgusting attacks on women's reproductive health laws like they just passed in Texas. Like the video if you like the damn video. Subscribe for more content. Peace. Much love. All proud of people.